This is More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people.
Thanks again for joining us for another edition of More to Say with Randy Naughton, now sponsored by the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis, one of the most haunted places in all of North America. Don't forget, you can follow me all over social media, like, follow, subscribe. Please do, and we would appreciate it. We welcome in a face you know, a voice you know. This is a gentleman who is basically all over the place, especially on social media. Please welcome comedian, actor, director, activist Michael Rapaport. Thank you for joining us, Michael. I'm doing great. Oh, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time. Now, listen, I don't know if you remember this, but you and I sort of connected back in 2016 when I was working on the morning show in St. Louis. You came in and you were doing a little survey for the presidential race for Snapple. Check it out.
Exhausted by the election? Well, Snapple's here to give you a break with 2 new teas. And check out Snapple.com to put the fun back in election. Put the lit back in political. Snapple T-Cision. Pick red or blue without getting political.
That's right, and that's the word from our guest right now, Michael Rapaport. Thanks for coming into St. Louis. But now it's coming down to these 2 flavors of Snapple, right?
Well, you know, with all the politics, I'm encouraging people to take a break and forget the politics. You got to pick, instead of the red side or the blue side, you got a red tea or a blue tea. They're fantastic teas. I love Snapple. It's a true emotional decision, okay, but it comes from your taste buds, okay?
Okay, Michael, do you remember that coming into the studio?
Of course I remember that. I'm a Snapple drinker, and it was fun. That was actually my first time in St. Louis.
It's not like you to be connected to anything political or anything like that. That is kind of like your wheelhouse, in addition to all the acting and everything you do. And your comedy tour is taking you through 10 cities. And I know you just went back to Israel for a couple of dates, and you are a steadfast advocate for all of the horrific things going on in Israel, a true voice for the Jewish people. You every single day post on social media about the plight of the hostages who at this recording are still there to this day. Why do you think you feel that to be necessary to do that on a daily basis? And do you think others are doing enough to keep it in the forefront?
It's hard for me to speak on what others do. It is something that I wake up thinking about. I go to sleep thinking about. It's just a horrific situation, and it's a heartbreaking situation and a demoralizing, frustrating, historic, terrible situation that, as of the recording of this, that there's still 101 people in captivity over a year. We're heading into 13 months, which is insane. 7 of whom are American citizens. And I just feel like there's not enough. Nothing is enough to be said, to be done, to scream, yell about until they are home. It's unacceptable that this has happened. It's unacceptable that it's going on almost for 13 months now. And it's unacceptable to excuse or try to rationalize what happened and what's continuing to happen post October 7th in Israel. So that's why I continue to say stuff about it, because, like I said, you know, I honestly, if it's not the first thing I wake up thinking about, it's top 2 or 3 things, and same when I go to sleep.
And if you don't follow Michael on social media, I highly recommend you do. Not only will you get some great civics lessons, but, you know, he's an entertainer, and you're entertaining all the way around, no matter what. You're a director, you're an actor, you're a producer, you're a comedian. What do you like doing best in your career? Or do you like to be on stage, in front of the camera, behind the camera? And what have you not done that you still want to do?
That's a good question. I think, you know, I like it all. I love performing live. You know, I love doing stand-up. I love acting. Both of those things are I get elation from doing it. You know, like I just love it, and they're satisfying. They're challenging. and it's never enough because it's like a Rubik's cube you just can't figure out, and you strive for some sort of perfection, and I think it's it's just like you're chasing it, you're chasing the perfection of it. So I love that. I love doing my podcast, and I just love performing. I love performing. I feel very, very lucky to be doing it for as long as I've gotten to do it. And I feel very, very lucky to be back on the road doing shows. All of it I never take for granted.
Well, it's time for another Lemp History Minute, sponsored by the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis. Did you know that in 1980, Time magazine published an article in which they named the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis one of the most haunted places in all of North America? Many say the Lemp Mansion is haunted because 4 members of the very wealthy and successful Lemp family died in that mansion, 3 of them by suicide. Now, since those days, many people have dined at the mansion or even stayed overnight, had events there, and a lot of them sort of reported some very eerie occurrences. Faces peering out of windows, unexplained eerie events, noises being picked up by paranormal equipment. Today, the Lemp Mansion is thriving as a restaurant, as an event space, as a really cool place to go for all the fun events they put on, scavenger hunt, boozy bingo, tours, you name it. And this is the perfect time of the year to book you and your friends at the Lemp Mansion, whether it's just to have a lunch or a dinner, or if you dare, stay overnight. And if you haven't visited the Lemp in a while, do check them out and all the great events they have. Their website, lempmansion.com.
Hello, and thank you for listening to More to Say with Randy Naughton. When you're done with this episode, come check out another fun podcast called Mostly Superheroes, a variety talk show featuring me, your host Logan, Andy the Giggler, Scotty Scoop, and guests just like Randy Naughton, Steve Ewing, and Sean Gunn, and many more. Getting your fix for Marvel, Star Wars, TV, film, and inspiring stories from people in our community. Find more at mostlysuperheroes.com, search Mostly Superheroes in your podcast app and on YouTube, and ask your smart speaker, play the latest episode of Mostly Superheroes, the podcast. Enjoy the rest of this episode of More to Say with Randy Naughton, and we'll see you over at mostlysuperheroes.com.
We know parts for a lot of people are hard to come by. I was watching Only Murders in the Building. I think it was last season. It's like, there you are. You're one of the detectives. And I know you're on the, what is this series? Life After Beth with Amy Schumer. You're on that one. You're kind of all over the place. And we remember you back in the day on Seinfeld. You kind of popped up on various sitcoms. So you have your hands in a lot of cookie jars, which I think that's what keeps all of us going. If we're busy, whether we're retired like myself, but I'm not. Talk about your stand-up, because I know that we just mentioned that you did a couple of dates in Israel. How do you take what's happening, for heaven's sakes, in this crazy world of politics and, of course, all the geopolitical stuff going on? How do you make that funny?
Well, I think that politics are funny. I mean, and there's some comedians that have made their bones just talking about politics because of the characters, the insanity, the extremeness of it all, from all points of view, it's extreme. It couldn't be funnier now, because of just the free for all, the insanity, that whether you're actually participating in this insanity or you're just watching it. I would say that I'm a participant.
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen you.
I do pride myself on being a controlled participant. So I seem a little bit more out of control than I actually am. I'm definitely in control of myself. But I just think you can't not talk about it. I'm performing in Indianapolis and it's election week. Who the heck knows what the heck is going to be going on that week? I have no clue, but I know that it'll make for a great batch of shows, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts. Hopefully, it's not too crazy or too nuts, and hopefully, it's safe and fair, and we can move on with our lives, because it's like been this sort of booming date for the last 4 years. What's going to happen 2024, and here we are. So
we are.
it goes off without a hitch. That's my number one goal.
Right. And I will say, watching some of your, I won't say rants, but commentary, your political commentary on your social media. And I said, oh, we're going to talk to each other. He's going to beep, beep, F, bum, beep, beep, beep. And I'm like, okay, no, you're a normal, cool, calm dude. So I'm really
a normal,
happy.
cool, calm dude. No cursing. I'm a trained professional. Like I say, I like to give the impression that I could beep, beep, beep. But I can beep, beep, beep if the beep, beep, beeps are allowed, the beeps and the bleeps.
And for those who don't know Michael on social media, if you want to hear that side of him, follow him on social media. Again, he's got a website, michaelrapaportcomedy.com. And of course, where is the website for your podcast?
I am Rapaport.
I am Rapaport and Rapaport
we're all
Reality.
Podcasts are available. Yeah, we're all podcasts are, everybody's got a podcast now, and I've been fortunate to have mine for a good amount of time, so I love doing it.
And Michael, I owe you a Snapple. Thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it. As long as it's cold, you could pick the flavor. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We will wrap up another edition of More to Say with Randy Naughton. Our thanks to our sponsor, the Lemp Mansion, one of the most haunted places in all of North America. And of course, our thanks to our podcast producer and partner, Logan Janis. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
This has been More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. Be sure to like or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.